All around the world, people have claimed to see massive birds in the sky that they believed could have been a Thunderbird or a pterosaur. And today, I'm going to go over some of these amazing encounters. Over the past couple of months, I've been binge watching the History Channel's Missing in Alaska series. It's one of my favorites from the History Channel, as I just love stories about cryptids. And there are a heck of a lot of cryptids in Alaska. And these cryptids could be connected to one of the biggest paranormal mysteries of our time, which is the missing 411 phenomena that David Paulides has brought to our attention. And a lot of these disappearances do seem to be paranormal, and just maybe a paranormal entity or an unknown animal could be responsible. And there are just so many cases where these missing people seem to have been taken by something flying in the sky. Now, many suspect aliens, and that could very well be true. But some researchers wonder, could some of these people have been taken by a massive unknown bird? Now, I was surprised to learn that just 10,000 years ago, there was a massive bird that existed. This bird was called a Teratorn. Teratorns had a wingspan of 20 plus feet, and there have been so many sightings throughout the world where eyewitnesses claim to see a bird that had a wingspan of 20 feet. So could this bird, this Teratorn, be responsible for some of these sightings? And could the Teratorn be the legendary Thunderbird? A famous sighting that some believe could have been a Teratorn happened in Illinois in 1977. One day a 10-year-old boy, Marlon, was playing outside when his mother Ruth heard him screaming his head off. So Ruth went outside to see what the heck was going on. And to her horror, she saw two massive birds chasing her son. So, scared for her son's safety, Ruth started to sprint towards the birds. And she claims that she saw one of these birds grab Marlon and pick him off the ground. Now, thankfully at this point, Ruth was right next to the bird, so she started to attack it, and the bird let go of her son. Now, Ruth believes that if she wasn't there, this bird would have been able to take Marlon. Now, the police, as well as other members of the community, didn't believe Ruth, and at school they started to call Marlon the bird boy. But what if Ruth was telling the truth? There are just so many missing 411 cases where children and adults just vanish, and their family or friends were not that far away. And when the police arrived, their dogs couldn't pick up any scent. One case happened when a group of friends realized that their friend was no longer walking behind them. And while they were searching for him, they saw that everything had come out of his pockets. It's like he got flipped upside down and was taken by something from the sky. And to this day, this poor soul is still missing. Now, according to zoologists, there's no known bird today that could pick up a large child, and definitely not an adult. But we do have sightings from eyewitnesses who have claimed that they saw a massive bird in the sky like they'd never seen before around the time people have vanished. One case happened in 1999 in Alaska when a woman, Jenna, went out jogging to prepare for a competition. But sadly, Jenna never returned home, and she is still missing to this day. Now, shortly after she vanished, a man named Marlowe told the authorities that he saw her on the day she disappeared. Marlowe stated that while he was out walking on the trail, he had actually stopped Jenna to let her know that a storm was fast approaching and that she should go back. And Jenna told him that she was almost done with her training and would return home right after. Then Marlowe claimed that about a minute or so later, he saw in the sky, flying with the storm, the biggest bird he had ever seen. It was as big as a small plane, and it was flying right towards Jenna. Then a couple days later, Marlowe learned about Jenna's disappearance, and he believes to this day that this massive bird could have taken her. Now, what makes this case interesting, other than the size of this bird, is that according to Marlowe, it was flying with the storm. And Native Americans have long told stories about massive birds that fly with the storm, and they call them the Thunderbird. Now, most believe that there's no way Jenna got taken by a bird, but one eyewitness claims that she almost got taken by a bird while she was out exercising. One day, a woman named Judy was jogging on a remote trail in the middle of the woods, and while she was running, she felt like she was being watched. So she looked around, but there was no one anywhere. But since she was in the middle of nowhere, she was now a bit worried. And while she was scanning the surrounding area, she saw something massive coming out from the top of the trees. At first, she had no idea what this was, but she soon realized that it was a bird. Judy stated, just like every other eyewitness, that this was the biggest bird she'd ever seen. It was as big as a Cessna. And to her horror, she realized that this bird was circling her. Now, Judy remembered that birds of prey circle before they attack, and Judy believed that this bird was about to attack her. So, scared for her life, she ran and hid in the forest and waited until this bird was gone. Now, Judy really believed that this bird was big enough, strong enough to take her, and she was very thankful that she saw it before it attacked. Another eyewitness from Alaska, Carlos, claimed that while he was working on his car, he heard a strange noise coming from the sky, and when he looked, he saw a massive bird. And as he was staring in disbelief, he saw that this bird was carrying a deer. Carlos was terrified. He couldn't believe what he was looking at. And he told everybody about what he saw, but no one believed him. But if Carlos is telling the truth, and these massive birds can carry a deer, well, then they can definitely carry a human. Now, while I was making this video, I came across a heck of a lot of sightings. And one thing that really stood out to me is how shocked and amazed all these eyewitnesses were. It makes me believe that this could be an unknown bird, or maybe Teratorns still exist. One man wrote on social media, "Attention, I was just driving by the movie theater in the valley, and there was a huge blackbird flying above the road. The wingspan had to have been at least 20 feet. It was almost as wide as the road. I've lived here all my life, and I've never seen anything like that. It freaked me out. It was not a raven or an eagle, and this isn't a joke. This thing was huge, almost the size of a small airplane. Did anyone else see it?" Then in Anchorage in 2002, there was a mass sighting, and one of these eyewitnesses stated that this bird reminded her of Jurassic Park, making some believe that this might have been a pterosaur. And what I like about this mass sighting is there was a pilot who at first dismissed these sightings as nothing more than a whole lot of eyewitnesses who probably just saw a bird that was a little bit bigger than normal. But then a few days later, this pilot and all his passengers also saw it. He stated, "It was huge. It was really, really huge. You wouldn't want your kids outside while this bird was flying overhead." Now in the coming months, I'm going to cover a lot more of these sightings. In this video, I wanted to focus on Alaska, as this is part 5 in my Missing in Alaska series. But these Thunderbird sightings happen all over the world. Some sightings seem to suggest an unknown bird, or maybe a Teratorn, while others seem to suggest a pterosaur. And I do wonder, could these massive birds that these eyewitnesses from all around the world claim to see be responsible for some of these missing people? Now before I go, I just want to thank all my subscribers and viewers for hanging in there. I know my uploads have been a bit slow over the past couple of years, so I just want to thank you for always checking out my new videos. And very soon, I will be uploading a lot more. Until next time, this is Paranormal Junkie. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned.